Russian President Vladimir Putin's relationship with Donald Trump has once again come under scrutiny after former top U.S. national security officials suggested that Putin has long been able to manipulate and outmaneuver the former president. Both H.R. McMaster, who served as Trump's national security advisor from 2017 to 2018, and John Bolton, who held the same role later in the administration, have separately warned that Putin learned quickly how to play Trump by appealing to his ego, flattering him, and presenting himself as a strong world leader. According to McMaster, Putin was skilled at exploiting Trump's insecurities, creating confusion among U.S. advisors, and steering conversations in directions favorable to Russia without Trump fully realizing the implications. John Bolton, who has long been critical of Trump since leaving the White House, has gone even further, arguing that Putin thinks he can play Trump like a fiddle. Bolton explained that Putin is a shrewd operator who thrives when dealing with leaders who prioritize appearances over substance, and that Trump's craving for praise and admiration made him particularly vulnerable. In Bolton's view, Putin enjoyed an unusual advantage. He was dealing with a U.S. president more interested in personal rapport and public image than in the painstaking details of policy and strategy. This, he argued, allowed Putin to pull Trump into his orbit, using charm and perceived camaraderie to blunt tough U.S. responses to Russian aggression. Critics point to several examples during Trump's presidency to illustrate these claims. One of the most notable was the 2018 Helsinki Summit, where Trump publicly sided with Putin over his own intelligence agencies on the question of Russian interference in the 2016 U.S. election. That moment shocked America's security establishment and was widely seen as evidence of Trump's willingness to accept Putin's word at face value. Other episodes included Trump's repeated calls for warmer relations with Moscow, his occasional questioning of NATO's relevance, and his reluctance to directly criticize Putin even when Russian actions, from cyber attacks to military interventions, were deeply damaging to U.S. and allied interests. McMaster has emphasized that these behaviors were not simply naive, but part of Putin's larger strategy. In his view, Putin understood that personal flattery and symbolic respect were powerful tools when dealing with Trump. Instead of challenging him, Putin offered praise and presented himself as a respected equal on the global stage, a posture that appealed directly to Trump's desire to be seen as a dealmaker alongside strongmen. McMaster warned that this pattern created vulnerabilities in U.S. foreign policy, leaving allies uncertain and giving adversaries opportunities to exploit divisions. Bolton's comments echo that concern, but in even starker terms. He has consistently argued that Trump was not equipped to manage complex international relationships, and that Putin saw in him an opening to advance Russian goals while facing minimal resistance. For Putin, he said, stringing Trump along was less about dramatic breakthroughs and more about eroding U.S. credibility, weakening alliances, and buying time to expand Russia's influence abroad. By preventing Trump from taking a consistently tough stance, Putin could limit the effectiveness of sanctions, weaken NATO's cohesion, and sow political discord in Washington. The warnings from McMaster and Bolton also arrive in a broader context of ongoing tensions between Russia, Ukraine, and the West. For many in Kiev and in European capitals, the idea that Putin could so easily manipulate an American president is deeply concerning. They fear that a return of Trump to the White House might embolden Moscow, not because of direct collusion, but because Putin believes he can manage Trump in ways that reduce pressure on Russia. This possibility is part of why Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been vocal about ensuring the U.S. maintains a united, serious, and consistent strategy in its dealings with Moscow. Ultimately, the assessments of these two former senior advisors converge on the same conclusion. Vladimir Putin is a master of political gamesmanship, and Donald Trump during his time in office proved susceptible to them. Where other U.S. leaders might have confronted or constrained Russia, Putin instead found a way to exploit Trump's personality and turn their interactions into a strategic advantage. Whether through public flattery, symbolic gestures, or carefully orchestrated summits, Putin's ability to string Trump along, as McMaster described, remains a cautionary tale about how personal vulnerabilities at the highest levels of power can reshape the balance of global politics.